Thank you for coming back and being a patron of my beautiful live. I really appreciate it. It's always good to have loyal supporters. And as we progress from the lower rungs of the realms of TikTok notoriety into the upper echelons, I'm going to need loyal supporters. You can't be a person of note without loyal supporters. So I'm going to need people like Ace, the decentralized daddy. But yeah, and I'm also going to need TikTok to get off my blank expletive, because I know that my live is super sensitive to being banned. So I'm just going to need TikTok to ease up on me a bit, right? Just ease up a little bit. But let's build up the live back again, brick by brick. We need some likes, etc. A says this as you're actually saying truth like me. Exactly. TikTok hates me because I tell the truth. I talk about the truth about the medical system. I talk about the truth about how society works. I say the truth about C19, race, everything. I'm just a truth teller. What's up, Michelle? See, Michelle's another one of our loyal patrons here. So I was just banned, but I'm back now. So please, guys, run up the likes to 1K and we'll get some guests on. Ace, I'm not having you on yet because we know what you're going to say. You're going to talk about decentralization. Just give us a little moment. We need to get some of the dissenters on, build up some momentum on the live. I will let you on, Ace, 100%. May says left because they haven't realized ICE type programs have been around for hundreds of years. Oh, he's talking about left are more brainwashed. Tiki Talk says, I think it just depends how much they like the politician more than any party line. Oh yeah, the prompt today is who's more brainwashed, the right or the left for the YouTube viewers. Can I react to the video? I'll do a quick reaction while I'm here. Where did you send me the link? Yeah, I'll do a reaction just for you because you sent me a universe, and then we're gonna have to move on with the live. I'm really hoping though that my stuff doesn't lag out again because my platform was lagging a lot. So I don't know what that was about. I don't know if it's still lagging, but or if you will allow me, I'll do that at the end of the live. So if you just stay until the end of the live, then I'll make sure that I react. Because the thing is, if I react now, it won't let me like the algorithm. Wait, what? Wait, I have to react to this as well. The algorithm will kind of phase me out a bit. So I need to get this live going and then we'll react. And also, the reaction will be available on YouTube anyway. So just stay until the end and then you'll see the reaction. Where are we at? Oh, there we go. Both. To believe that the government is set up for the people is crazy. Tiki Touch as a good populist politician will brainwash anyone regardless of political affiliation. Oh, are you referring to Trump? Sheep will believe in the government. That's true. True indeed. The left is so taken with gender identity politics, they support illegal entry into the UK. I think they support both. Gannon69 says it's two parts of the same isht system. The left. I think most people think the left are more brainwashed. I used to think that, I don't know, they did a good job, like the powers that be, they did a good job making the right seem like the underdog, the underrepresented underdog. But really, from my little like purveys into this topic, it seems like it's both. It's like both of 50-50 really. Both think they're the underdog, both are brainwashed. Tiki Torch says Trump included, but it's many more than Trump. Trump is just very open about it. Okay? Alt-right is the method now. What is alt-right? I know what it is, but like what is it to you? Are we still Bluetooth connected? Let's connect so that we can hear the guest viewers for the YouTubers. Just a moment, guys. We've got 16 people in the live as well. Thank you for joining my live, guys. I really appreciate it. It's also the left who are committing violence against others while demanding peace. Okay. The left, they hate Trump because they're told to. They protest because they're told to. Are those people representative of the general left? I don't know. Brainwashed or not, left or right, we're all screwed and something's got to give. Something's gotta give. Also, it's unwise to trust the government in general, regardless of left or right. True. True indeed. We're taking guest requesters, guys. By the way, my take is I'm actually really against left-wingers. I pretend to be neutral, but I'm actually really against them. I don't like them. I think that they may not get banned, right? But I think that they're pernicious and dangerous. Dangerously unintelligent also. Bad understanding of deductive reasoning. Hearts is obviously the right. Lol, it's equal. How can it not be? How stupid. It's easy for it to not be. Just because there's two sides to something doesn't mean both sides are equal. Always think for yourself. Okay, we've got 18 people in the live. Guys, please tap the screen to like the live. One side likes kids, the other side also likes kids. There shouldn't be sides. People need to focus on the politics. Good point. There shouldn't be sides, but there are. 22 people. Got 1,000 likes. I'm enjoying this so far. But we need some guest requesters. Please request up if you'd like to debate me on any topic. You can even debate me on stuff I've said in my videos as well. That'd be fun. I'm on the grind. Both of them, they are puppets dancing to the tune of the government. Aren't they? Yeah, they are the government, aren't they? I've always been left-leaning, but I personally feel the left have gone too far. Government is meant to control people. See, this is good. This is good because now I'm attracting people to the live that think like me. So this live topic, who's more brainwashed, the left or the right? I hope you guys realize I'm stirring up waters to catch fish. All of you guys, you think just like me. So please follow my page and check out the videos on my page. I talk about the truth. I talk the truth about the system. I'm anti-systemic. If you have to ask, you're not paying attention. I am paying attention. Maybe too much attention. Both sides should be no right or left. Always been rich v poor, but what do I know? I don't think it's rich v poor either. What's the difference between them? True. Both sides are the same corrupt bird. Your side is just your preference. Illusion of choice here. Both are effing brainwashed, man. Liberals for sure. The right, definitely. All leads to divide and conquer to distract the public. Is it working? 1K likes. Appreciate it, guys. Well, 1,022. Michelle's pointing it out. But yeah, I've figured out a way to attract all the people that think like me. Guys, should we start a movement? Who wants to start a political movement with me? Imagine me as Prime Minister of the UK. Do you guys think I'd make a good Prime Minister? Ace, we know you got ideas. You think just like me. No. Why would I not make a good Prime Minister? You genuinely couldn't do a worse job. The thing is, the Labour cabinet, like, I don't even think Starmer's that bad. The Labour cabinet is shocking. Lammy, Rayner, low IQ individuals, bad policymakers. Even Streeting, 2 milk a toast. Because you will sell your soul. Why would I sell my soul? I haven't sold my soul yet. Why would I sell my soul? The left is absolutely more brainwashed. There are no worse people on the planet than the left. As a category, if I had to say a category that generally contains the worst kind of people, I would have to say it would be self-described leftists. As a general category. Like, if I pick any category group that's most likely to have like 90% people that I don't like, it would probably be self-described leftists. If you think one is worse than the other, you're part of the problem. They are both equally bad. They're not equally bad though, really, are they? One are like mainly brainwashed into like morals, religion, and believing that the system can change if they vote for the right person, so right wingers. And then the other are they just believe whatever the media tells them. Texas Mama says left, but it's not exclusive to them. I'll take that. Isn't an immigrant someone that comes illegally and a migrant legal? No, an immigrant is just somebody who immigrates to a country. Yeah, migrant. I don't know what is the difference between a migrant and an immigrant. Migrant is just like a code word for like a brown person. Both parties belong to lobbyists, but conservatives are slightly less hidden about it. Okay. Both, but no one cares about humanity and the other is selfish and self-centered. Oh, one cares about humanity and the other is selfish. Oh, I'm assuming you think that the leftists care about humanity. How? Okay, this has got to be the most brainwashed take that left-wingers have of all, is that they actually think that they're morally correct. We care about humanity. My politician actually cares about humanity. You've got to be like deeply brainwashed to actually think my politician just cares about me. The people that are left, we just care more. We're just morally superior. The left are what causes the division. They can't win debates because what they believe are bullshit. Have you guys ever seen what's that guy called? Edge of the Matrix. That's when you see how batshit the people on the left are. When you watch Edge of the Matrix. I encourage everybody to watch Edge of the Matrix on YouTube. Unbelievable. They're batshit. Great question. Anyone who puts faith and trust in the government is pretty simple-minded. True. Country jails you and kicks you out for no need to debate. It's the left and it's provable. The left wants open borders when every country jails you and kicks you out for being there illegally. Do they actually want open borders? My right-wing ex thought the world was flat. Nothing wrong with that. Ultimately, nobody really knows if the world is flat or not. That's the real tea. But that might be too deep for some of you. Don't ignore my comment. I don't care about politicians. We're talking about the politics. The left is more humane. No, they're not. They're just easily manipulated. So all you have to do is tell them, if you believe this means you're a good person, and then they fall for it. That doesn't make them more ethical. That makes them more likely to fall for framing that makes you think that makes them think they're ethical. I think that most people on the political left are there because they are extremely insecure. So they like to align with the group. They like to virtue signal because they are insecure deep down. So they're like, if I virtue signal, then I will appear to be a good person. Give an example, like how they virtue signal and pretend that they want loads of immigrants to come into their country, like how they virtue signal and pretend that they think that men can be women, like how they virtue signal and pretend like they know and understand science and that makes them morally good when really they're just being manipulated by pharmaceutical companies. Those are 3 clear examples. They call themselves good people then cheer when someone from the right is killed. Okay, yeah, I don't really care about Charlie Kirk either, man. And what's you know that they don't feel. I didn't understand that comment. It's not about left versus right anymore. It's us versus the billionaires who call us cattle and hate us. Okay. Grace, why should we be divided? It seems like we're already pretty divided. I'm just talking about it. The left screamed and cried when Trump got elected. It's pretty obvious. I don't think all of them screamed and cried. Maybe some like viral clips. Sorry, what makes you so sure they don't think this? You just assume that they get told. I've spent my whole life dealing with leftists. I actually spend a lot of time analysing their behaviour and thought patterns. You can look at my videos. And I think I've got them pretty much down to a science that they're mostly insecure people. Easily manipulated, insecure people. Haha, the right stormed the Capitol. Much different from screaming and crying. That is different. Like, assuming that you can describe what they did as storming the Capitol, which let's say for argument's sake they did do that. Well, I mean, objectively they did storm the Capitol. But that you don't have to be insecure to storm the Capitol. You could be wrong. You could be misguided. But I'm talking about insecurity. Right, because what happens when they need to immigrate you to war? That's a good point. I'm not against immigration, though. That's the thing. I lived with a leftist. She woke up at 7 a.m. screaming about how she hated men. Every left-wing girl I've dated, oh my God, bro. They are flipping nuts, bro. They're literally like... It's only when you like... The thing is, if you look at them on the surface, you'd be like, oh, okay, they just have a different opinion. It's only when you get to know them as people that you see the character traits behind the ideology, and that's how you realize, like, oh, like, they're bad shit. It's because the right lacks critical thinking and wants to be told what to believe. Most people lack critical thinking skills, to be fair. Question, who's more brainwashed? Probably the same minute, bruv. The left center. Some could say it's a weird Venn diagram between the left nonsense and LGBT, but that's coincidence, I guess. There's definitely a Venn diagram between the last two. Left is way more batshit from personal experience. Yeah. It's obvious. Like, if you see it, like, you could just see, like I say, everybody go and watch Edge of the Matrix, and you'll see. You'll see what they're like. It's a shame that my last live lost its momentum, because this live, the momentum's a bit slower. I had a left cancel my cards in Cards Against Humanity. Or like they'll go to like a comedy show and then someone will make a joke and then the camera will pan to them and they'll be like trying really hard not to laugh. To show everyone that they're morally superior to the comedian. I'm so good I don't laugh at jokes. Let me talk about some, since the live numbers are not boosting up super quickly. Let me talk about some of my experience with leftists, right? So when I was in uni, there was this super feminist girl, right? That lived in my girl's uni accommodation. So once I was arguing with my girl because my girl was saying, that she's going to go to her grandma's house. And I was saying like, anyway, let me not get into personal stuff, but basically I was having an argument with my girl. And then her feminist, her feminist flatmate walks upstairs, interrupts the argument, and then is like, you don't talk to her like that, starts pointing in my face. So I'm thinking in my head, why the fuck is this woman coming to interrupt an argument that has nothing to do with her? Obviously, you know how feminists are. They feel like they have to like involve themselves in everything to do with women. So she comes upstairs, points in my face. When she points in my face, I move her hand up my face, move your hand up my face, right? And then she was like, and then she walked downstairs, yeah. And the funny thing is, then me and my girl stopped arguing. We made up, blah, blah, blah. My girl goes downstairs, talks to her. She's like, yeah, don't worry. Like, no big deal. We didn't argue. The girl's like saying to my girl, I'm going to call the police. My girl's like, why? She's like, oh, no, fine. Don't worry. I won't call the police. I'm just like, why would she call the police? Me and my girl just chilling upstairs. We're not even arguing anymore. Everything's fine. Like 30 minutes later, the police come to the door. I'm like, what the fuck? The police then arrest me for assault. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, you're under arrest for assault. Bro, I had to spend the night in the cells, yeah. Do you know what this feminist wrote in her statement? I no bullshit. This is true story what the feminist wrote in her statement. She wrote, Ama's hand connected with my index finger, leaving a lasting feeling. That's what she wrote in her statement. She tried to get me done for assault because she pointed in my face and I moved her hand out the way. She's like, Ama's hand left a lasting feeling on my finger. I'm like, wait. So you're a feminist, but when you have an argument, you call a bunch of armed men to come and save you. Make it make fucking sense. Literally make it make sense. Feminists, we're feminists, we can do this, we can do that. Girl power. Anytime they have an argument with a man, they immediately get the patriarchy to come and fight their battle for them. I'm against the male patriarchy. Argue with a man. I've just got the male court system to try and go against the man. I'm against the male patriarchy. I've just got the male police to come and fight my battle for me. At least, this is why I like criminals. At least criminals are consistent. They're like, I'm against the system. Fuck the system. Like, they're like, I'm against the system. Don't call the police. I'm against the system. I don't want to call the police when I'm in trouble. I'm against the system. I don't want to work a normal job. I don't want to be part of the mainstream system. Criminals are consistent. Feminists, I'm against the patriarchal system. Unless the armed men will come and do my bidding for me, then I'm not against them. Be the Change says, MAGA is most brainwashed, sensible and traditional. Right and left are non-existent, it seems. Okay. What a waste of police resources from that story. Oh, I got hella stories from the crazy left-wing police in the UK. I'll tell another story. I tell this story all the time, right? I was doing something once called pine bark harvesting, which involved cutting bark off of a tree. You get this inner part of the bark called the pine bark. You have to go to pine trees to find it. I was in my bag. I used to do moon watching and sun gazing and shit because I was just in uni, when you're just like going for a different vibe, So I was doing that. I was in Leicester. I found some pine trees in Leicester. So I was doing pine bark harvesting. And then like I'm walking on this street. There's no one on the street. And then I see like someone like looking out their window, but I'm not thinking anything of it because I'm like, I'm just pine bark harvesting. I'm just cutting bark off a tree. What's the big deal? A few minutes later, police roll up on me. What the fuck? Police? You guys, as you can imagine, the police always end up rolling up on me because, first of all, I'm a big black guy with tattoos, so people find anything I do suspicious. And then secondly, because people in the UK always tell on you. And again, but also the police are insane left-wing ideologues. So anyway, I'm pine bark harvesting. Police roll up on me. I'm like, what the fuck are the police? Put the knife down! Put the knife down! I'm like, what? I didn't even register that I had a knife on me. But it was a bread knife. Like, you know that when you're cutting the bread from like a bakery, and it's like the big bread, like the bread with the shell. I don't know what it's called, but like the loaf, yeah, like the loaf of bread. You know the knife you use to cut the loaf of bread, right? So I got that, and then put the knife down. I'm like, what the fuck? So I put the knife down. He comes over. He's like, oh, why have I got a knife? I'm like, I'm pine bark harvesting. He's like, yeah, but I'm going to have to report you for possession of an offensive weapon. I'm like, but I'm pine bark harvesting. I open my bag. I show him, like, I've got bark in my bag. Like, I'm pine bark harvesting. He sees the bag full of pine bark. He's like, yeah, mate, I'm sorry. I'm still going to have to refer it. So he refers it to his sergeant or whatever. And then they give me like this thing. It was like I can't remember, it was like a community resolution kind of thing. And it was like basically, yeah, if you sign and accept that you had like a bread knife on you, then it won't go anywhere. But I was genuinely going to get charged. He actually referred it to get charged. But then they were like, oh, like he was pine bark harvesting, no big deal. But yeah, that's one of my other stories from being in the UK. And by the way, just so that people understand, people in the UK support this. So if you look at the comments when I tell this story, people are like, you had an offensive weapon, good. A bread knife, by the way. You had an offensive weapon on you, therefore you should have been arrested. Oh, the UK is finished, man. Don't even get me started. I got so many stories of these crazy left-wingers, man. They hate freedom. They love big government. So many stories. Too many to count. Literally too many to count. And the crazy thing is, people will hear these stories and be like, you're the problem. Because they're like, you shouldn't be able to pine bark harvest. That's bad. If someone points in your face, you shouldn't move their hand at your face if they're a woman. That makes you bad. Like, so yeah, I don't even know. Danny D says, like Kristi Noem charging the US taxpayers $220 million for an ad. Yeah, I don't like Kristi Noem. From what I've seen of her, I don't know her, obviously. CJ says a divided society is a compliant society. Danny D says, which costs more than Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 2 to me. That's such a cringe take. Did I get kicked from uni because of it? No, I didn't get kicked out of uni. I didn't get kicked out of uni. Prairie says, I'm moving to Chile or anywhere other than here ASAP. Yeah, if you're a free-thinking masculine, or even if not even masculine, if you're just a free-thinking person, the UK is not a good place to be. You will get targeted by the system if you have any dissenting opinions. So yeah, move to Chile or whatever. But be careful when you move to like Central and South America because their governments are also corrupt and they're corrupt in a way that is much harder for you to advocate for yourself. Just Trust Music says the right are statistically less educated and less well-read. Yeah, because they don't read a bunch of left-wing propaganda and get brainwashed by uni. Like, it's not really that hard to figure it out. They get brainwashed by like religion instead. They get brainwashed by religion and like people like Trump. They don't get brainwashed by like big corporate institutions and university. Which kind of makes me respect them more than the left. Because it's like, if you're going to be brainwashed, at least allow the brainwashing to, you know, like religion is brainwashing, but at least it taps into like someone's spiritual core. You know what I mean? You have to kind of, to get brainwashed by religion, you have to at least abide by some kind of like spiritual, like, you know what I'm saying, belief system. So anyone can get brainwashed by that. But to get brainwashed by the bullshit they teach you at uni, like, that's just, you're just slow. The left wants their country back. The right is enabling everything, which is detrimental. What do you mean wants their country back? What do you mean wants their country back? Where's the best place to live then? Where are you born? The best place to live is probably America. Realistically, like if you weigh up everything, it's probably America. I mean, I'm sure there's other obscure places like Thailand or whatever. But like, if you weigh up everything, the best place to live is probably America. Over Sweden or something. Yeah, definitely over Scandinavia. Danny D says, I wish I was paid to care. Nobody would pay you to care because nobody cares about what you think. Why America? Because it's a place that gives you the most rights, the most opportunity. If you're going to live in a slave system where the government runs everything that you do, at least have like the ability to like have freedom of speech and stuff. Thought you were right until you said America. I mean, that's just an opinion. Where do you think the best place to live is? That's just my opinion. You know what they say about opinions? Can't have Medicaid while we're fighting a war. Why would you want to have Medicaid? Wouldn't you want to just pay for your own healthcare? No? You want the government to run that? Okay. Both. That is their plan to keep us focused on each other so that they can do what they want. Okay. I'd say neither when taking the whole into account. The vast majority is not brainwashed. The vast majority is not brainwashed. That's a wild take. Nope. Just existing broken-hearted for the world and protesting is my way to say, no, I'm not okay with this. Not okay with what? What are you not okay with? Left and right are meant to fight, meaning it's a template, easily viewable throughout history as well. I suppose so, yeah. Left think if you splice your thingy in 3, it's now a PJ. Oh my God. It's crazy that people actually... How did we get there that people actually think that? That's actually mad. Somewhere in Europe, probably Poland, but needs healthcare and decent work-life balance. You think Poland is the best place to live in the world? Really? Why do all the Polish people come to the UK then? Or a lot of them? Is Poland good? I don't know much about Poland. My cousin's Polish. Everyone is, to be honest, but one's clearly more brainwashed. The evidence is just laid out in front of them. Everyone says this. One is clearly more. I'd like to know which one you think is more. Please tap the screen to like that as well. Oh, let's see if we can get a guest on. I don't know if we can because sometimes I allow them to connect and then they disconnect. Hold up, Just Trust. Let me just make sure you're connected. Can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you. Let me just make sure you're connected to the YouTube so YouTube can hear you. 1 second. I'll put you in the headphones.
Connected.
Okay, now we're connected. Speak again.
Say again?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry, you decopped. Yeah, who's more brainwashed? Like it's obviously the right. Like, and by the left, I think like what you be colloquially saying is maybe a liberal, like an American liberal is what you think a left-wing person is probably.
What do you think a left-wing person is?
Someone who like abides to, I'd say in the modern era, probably a socialist. But it depends on, it's like era dependent. For example, the founding fathers of America would probably be seen as left-wing. Like Thomas Paine was like a raging lefty. James Connolly, the founder of the Republic of Ireland, communist. Mao, China. Like most people who started a lot of nations were left-wing compared to like the systems they were overthrowing.
So do you think that they are the same as the modern leftists now?
Well, no, because most leftists are like what you would consider what I would consider a liberal. Like they're just like, oh, I want healthcare.
I think you got it backwards. Like most of the people you described, like Thomas Paine, they would be liberals, not leftists. Leftists are mainly defined by paradigms that come from the new. Leftists are mainly defined by paradigms that come from the new left movement of the 80s, which is like a Jewish movement that kind of revolutionized left-wing thought, mainly in like America. So
the left wing originated on the French Revolution.
No, I know that. I'm talking about the new left movement as what we would today describe as leftists are different from liberals, right?
I mean, no, I don't. I feel like colloquially people think, like, especially in America, like liberals are leftists. Like they're used interchangeably there in the politics there. But like in general and historically, the left wing was always just the new revolutionary front trying to overthrow whatever the current system was.
What do you call the people that like think that if you cut your willy off, then you're a girl?
I don't know.
They need like a name, right? I thought they were leftists.
No, not really. They like, you could say they like read gender theory, and they believe that gender is like a performance, which they could obviously make arguments for that. Like that's like neither here or there. But like I'd say, the left is anyone who wants to abolish. Usually, anyone who wants to abolish the current state of things for something more equitable.
And when you say equitable, what do you mean?
As in, it brings more people into the fold of power.
And why should more people be brought into the fold of power?
Well, because then that entails more liberty. Like if more people have like power over their lives and whatnot.
We're not talking about having them having powers over their lives. We're talking about, you're saying power as in the power of the state, right?
No, not necessarily.
But you can have power over your life without being a leftist, and you can advocate for power over your life. Like individual rights would give you power over your life, but they wouldn't give you more political power or power within the system, right?
Well, like that's like if you agree that the system is all encompassing. I can't say that word, but yeah, like if you agree that the system's all encompassing, then it's like it would follow that any rights for like the more people would just be more liberal, or would just be more like freeing in that sense.
So do you think people on the right? Do you think people on the right don't want to have more rights?
Not the most. Like if you count the people on the right as like Trumpists, like I'm not talking like people who have like well thought out, like maybe a classical conservative or whatever. Like yeah, maybe those people have more thought out and reasoned opinions and positions, but the average right-wing person is just far more brainwashed than the average left-wing person.
And what kind of things have they been brainwashed to believe?
The government cares about them. They're very like they love a strong man, pretty much.
By advocating for more people to be involved in the government, and by advocating for socialism, don't you inherently have to believe that the government cares about you and wants the best for you? By saying the government should, but if you want socialism, you're basically saying the government should control more of the private sector, right?
No, I would say my position would be the self-abolishment of the proletariat. So the people realize themselves as a class and abolish that class that they're in relation to the class that they're like dialectically intertwined with, which would be the capitalist class.
But practically, you advocate for things like universal healthcare, government ownership of No.
I would like the government to be abolished in yeah.
Oh, you want the government to be abolished?
Yeah, like I'm not a statist. I wouldn't like want the state. I don't really care for the state too much.
Aren't you the guy that says you like how they do things in China?
Yeah, like if you're going to run a capitalist country, do it like China. But I don't want to do it like China. I'd rather like China's still capitalist.
But China has a lot of government control, but you want to abolish the government.
Yeah, it's still capitalist.
So you want a country
there's still wage labor.
But you think that we should look to a country where the government has more control, even though you're saying you want to abolish the government.
Yeah, but that's not the argument. Like that's not an entire argument. I'm just saying they've got state-owned enterprises. They've got more like communion with, let's say, the universities and the infrastructure projects. So like if you're going to do capitalism, it seems like China's doing it well.
So you're saying capitalism is done. You're saying capitalism is done best when the state has more control. even though you said
Well, it seems to be, yeah.
So you want to abolish the state, but you think if you're going to do capitalism, the state should have more control instead of less control.
Yeah, if you're going
Isn't that inherently contradictory?
Yeah, but like, I'm telling you, if you're going to do capitalism, I'm saying my position is we shouldn't do capitalism.
No, I know, but why wouldn't you say if you want to do capitalism, the state should have as little control as possible because I want to abolish the state? Instead, you're saying I want to abolish the state, but if we're going to do capitalism, the state should have loads and loads of control over everyone.
Yeah, because it seems to me that it works better if the state has more of a stranglehold over the capitalist class than the other way around. It seems to me like
okay.
Like
so if there was no state, then who would there be to stop private collectives of people from exerting control over others?
Well, if everyone has if everyone's got like equal access to the means of production, then they can also kind of defend themselves and or create their own societies.
How can everyone have equal access to the means of production? If I create a new technology,
not equal, but just access. Sorry, I misspoke.
So you think that everyone should have access to like a gun factory?
Yeah, but like the workers of that gun factory could decide how they want to distribute the fruits of their labor.
You can already do that under capitalism.
Well, not really, because like capitalism has a logic. Like they'll have to sell.
Have you heard of an IPO?
Yeah, like when you go public.
When you go public. So it's already possible for workers to have a stake in the companies that they work.
Yeah, that's like, but you don't have like an actual, like you have to be on the board of directors to actually have like a stake in the direction your company is going in.
Well, yeah, if you're not a majority shareholder, but if everybody has access to a company and the benefits and profits or the means of production, so to speak, obviously not everyone's going to have exactly equal access. Someone's still going to have a majority control over that thing, or so if someone has a majority control, then there's still going to be unequal access to that thing. So in your ideal scenario, how do you prevent people from having majority control over something, even if everybody has access to it?
Because it'd be an actual meritocracy. Like if the people decided that this person wasn't like living up to the needs of the community, they could oust him.
So you're talking about like rule by like mob rule, basically?
Nah, just standard meritocracy, like the most competent instead of the most, the most competent would be running production. So it'd be each according to ability and then each to the need.
Do you know one thing about you, because I've spoken to you a few times, the thing about you is I feel like if you relinquish the communist and socialist beliefs and look for other paradigms that are forward thinking, I feel like you could come up with better opinions, because Marxism and socialism, they are just ridiculous. Like,
yeah, but you've never
everything you said, it just contradicts itself.
How?
You just explained that you want to abolish the state and you want a true meritocracy and you want people to have access to the means of production, but you have no actual mechanism by which you can achieve that once you abolish the state.
Yep, there's loads. There's for example, there's council socialism. Like you could have workers' councils. You could have Otto Neurath wrote a lot about like how to plan things in a community. Paul Cockshott with his cybernetic like linear algebra for allocating resources.
Okay, like, those are names, but what did they actually say that should be done in order to do those things?
It depends on the specific. Instead of like looking to the market for every problem, it would now depend on the specific problem, and we could consciously develop actual solutions instead of like things. For example, in capitalism, like planned obsolescence became a thing.
Yeah.
because of profit margins. But like,
Yeah.
if you consciously make and create things, things would last longer.
Right.
For one, and then for like any market inefficiencies, and also like poverty, like poverty and people needing housing and food. These things could be directly and consciously like produced for use instead of produced for exchange, primarily because under capitalism we primarily produce for exchange, not for use.
Do you think that human beings are inherently self-interested?
I think and I think it's in everyone's self-interest, the majority of people's self-interest, to be communist. Like, it's a completely egoist argument. You think I'm like lovey-dovey the world? No, it's actually an egoist argument.
Okay. So and what kind of problems
And you
would we
still
not
not
have?
actually have you tried to read Marx?
I've tried.
Simply
It's a bunch
so.
of gobbledygook.
Yeah, it's actual fill. Like, it's not like, I don't know what you read, like Tom Holland, Dominion or some shit, like some coon book. I don't know what you read, but like,
I don't know what that
that's
is.
that's real political theory. I know. And I know you're a smart guy.
Real political theory.
Yeah, like, you don't
Okay.
like do you actually read any political theory, or do you just think
I don't
left and
read
right is
Marxist gobbledygook.
Republican and Democrats? That like, is that politics to you and political economy to you?
No. I'm just saying I don't read Marxist gobbledygook.
Yeah, but have you tried?
I tried to read Marx in Honduras, and I read 2 pages, and I was like, this is complete nonsense.
What books did you read?
Das Kapital.
You didn't get past the first 2 pages on
Nope.
Das Kapital. Well, of course you didn't fucking understand. You need to actually like read the whole first chapter.
Tell me about it.
The contradiction between use value and exchange value.
Tell me about it. You read it, right?
Okay. So
Okay.
Commodities have within them 2 contradictory values in the social realm. They have exchange value and use value. If you were to produce primarily for one and primarily for the other, the products of your labor would be entirely different. And I think that's the main point he's trying to drive home in that first chapter.
Okay. So how do you get individuals to do that instead of just hoping that it happens?
Well, it's up to us, the communists, to put forward a new theory of revolution for the modern age. So
By fundamentally going against people's nature.
why do you think this is people's nature?
You already acquiesced to that. You said that you think humans are inherently self-interested, but then you're suggesting that when they make products, that they should make them to achieve an end that may not be in their own self-interest.
Well, it is in the self-interest. Like, if you were to build like cars and devices to last longer, if you told people, oh, we could do that, like that's good for most people, right?
So are you
If
suggesting that corporations when they do things like planned obsolescence, are you suggesting that they're doing that against their own self-interest?
No, they're doing that according to the logic of capitalism.
Are they doing it against their self-interest?
It's literally unconscious. They're not consciously even.
Are they acting in their self-interest or against their self-interest?
They're in this interest. They're not doing it in the interest of human beings. They're doing it in the interest of capital.
Are they doing it in their own interest or not in their own interest, though?
As in, like a corporation starting to make slop because well, it's in the corporations, but that's reifying a corporation as a human being.
No, because they do it for the corporation because it's in their self-interest.
It's in the corporation's self-interest, sure, but like the corporation isn't a human being.
Yeah, I know that, but when a person acts in the interest of a corporation, do they do it against their own self-interest?
I mean, yeah, but like our interests are like constructed for us. Like, do you believe in, like, I guess you would hold to actual free will then? I'm guessing you think free will actually exists.
No, I don't.
No, well then all our desires are constructed for us. So like I'm saying we should put forward a system that constructs better desires.
I agree that we should put forward a system that constructs better desires. The problem with Marxist rhetoric is it doesn't actually elucidate how we can do that. And when you actually try to practically implement it, it just leads to a big government.
Well, that's Marxist-Leninist. I'm just a Marxist. Like, I believe in the immediate abolishment of capitalist social relations. And then
so you think
from
we should
there,
like get rid of money?
Yes,
Okay.
primarily actually.
Do you know that even according to Marx, you know how you stated that labor and production has a form of non-tangible inherent value, right?
What do you mean by non-tangible?
As in, it's not labor. Even if there's no output, even if Marx suggests that labor has inherent value, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that labor and goods, even without money, because they have inherent value, there's still competition for them and there's still a market, even if there's no money. So with competition and with a market, even with no money, you'll still encounter the problem of people monopolizing labor, monopolizing goods, monopolizing power. The Marxist paradigm does not remove human beings' in tendency to monopolize power.
That's fine.
So then you encounter the same problem. You encounter the same problem of inequality. You encounter the same problem of people seeking power. You encounter the same problem of people trying to get closest to the nexus of power in bureaucratic systems, and that's why that's why Marxism still leads to big governments, bureaucracies, abuse of power, etc. The same way that capitalism does.
No, that's where we depart there, because your power centralizing is fine if it's not under the logic of capitalism. Like, it's fine if like the most competent people get together and start to build whatever like they want to build. That's fine. Like,
that would just simply make you an ideologue that believes that capitalism is inherently bad, even if it leads to the same poor outcomes or even if Marxism leads to the same poor outcomes that capitalism does. You're saying, well, it leads to the same outcomes, but at least it's not capitalism.
It's not the same outcomes though, because
monopolies,
production itself would be
inequality.
Production itself would be transformed into something different. It's not the same. It's not the same like specialization and information silos that we get under capitalism that are ruled by the logical capital. Like, it wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't be the same, but we would effectively have the same problems that we have in the capitalist system.
No, because people don't mind like
what would be eliminated other than money. Let's say we eliminate money. What problems, and then we have a Marxist system, what problems would then be thereby be eliminated?
Capital accumulation and exclusionary capital accumulation.
But obviously capital is just a proxy for power, isn't it? So there would still be accumulation of power, just not capital, just not money. It would just be a different form of power. Like proximity to the state power would then become the commodity, as opposed to
because
intangible capital.
There is no state.
Yeah, but people would still have power. There'd still be accumulation of power. So whatever the manifestation of the accumulated power is, the people with the greatest proximity to that would have leverage over the people that have further proximity to that thing. Yes.
Like, give me an example.
Like, let's say there's no money. Let's say people are producing goods, just for their value, and they're making them to a high standard. There's no state. What if somebody is taller, better looking, and has more access to females than somebody else? They would have leverage over others because they have people who want to be around.
That would be actual human social relations instead of capitalist ones.
Yeah, but that's just an example. It would apply to anything. Like, the person that lives nearest to the beautiful beach would have leverage over the people that live further, because the people that live further want what they have. So there would still be competition. There would still be a de facto market, because one thing has more value to the population than another thing.
Yeah, but there wouldn't be like an arbitrary exchange. Like, things would be consciously divvied out and consciously planned for, instead of
Do you
like
think that
just
people? Do you think
just
that?
allowing the anarchy of the market to just control things.
I don't think that there is anarchy in the market. I think the market is controlled.
Well, yeah, it is controlled by Wall Street, City of London,
Exactly.
a few guys, like 10 or probably like 1,000 guys max,
Probably less.
that control everything, like everything, audio technicas on your head, literally everything.
Yeah.
But like, I don't see why that's a good thing. I don't know why you're advocating for that.
I'm not
But
advocating
like,
for it.
yeah,
I'm advocating that. I'm just making the point that I don't think Marxism is the solution.
yeah, but you've literally not read Marx.
Do you not think I have a decent enough understanding of Marxism?
No,
Okay.
because you said you read 2 pages of Das Kapital, you put it down because it's too hard.
It's not too hard. It's gobbledygook.
Nah, you literally couldn't.
The flaw that I've
I
just
know you couldn't
elucidated
try.
is a fatal blow to the ideology off the bat.
No, it isn't.
How? I just described to you how there's inherent value to things and there's still going to be competition and still leverage, still inequality, even if you eliminate the capitalist system. And you have no answer for that.
But capitalism, but like Marx never made an argument against inequality.
So what's the purpose of the Marxist system if it doesn't eliminate inequality?
Because it relies on certain classes of people to run. By abolishing class society, then we can like consciously direct the means of production to meet and satisfy our needs.
Whether
instead of
if class is not determined by people's access to capital, it will be determined by something else. And whatever it's determined by will result in the same disproportionate outcomes for people. So it's just out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, but if you, let's say, if we consciously, if the proletariat realize itself as a class, assumes controls the means of production, and then abolishes themselves as a class, so we become a new species, like a new species being, and we start a new like chapter in civilization, we'd be consciously using the means of production to satisfy needs like shelter, like food and all the basics, pretty much. Like,
yeah, and if my uncle had a fanny, he'd be my aunt. But there's no incentive for what you're describing to happen. No, but I'm saying what you're describing is idealistic. There's no incentive for a group to obtain control of the means of production and then abolish their own power. That goes against their own incentive. Human beings don't operate like that.
Yeah, it is if they're communists. That's the thing. Like, if they're communists, if the goal is to abolish themselves as a class, then sure, that's exactly what they'll do.
So is that idealistic?
No, it isn't.
It's not. So you're saying it's not idealistic for somebody to assume control of the power of society and then go, now that I have the power of society, I'm going to relinquish my own control of the power. You don't think that's idealistic? Come on.
No, why is that idealistic?
If I give someone £10 billion, do you think it's reasonable to expect that the majority of people will go, now that I have £10 billion, I'm going to release the £10 billion to everybody because I'm a communist, because money is bad, so give me £10 billion so I can just get rid of it?
Same argument follows, Ama.
No one has any incentive to do that. That's why it's silly.
You're saying if I gave someone 10 billion, but I'm saying the people that would assume this power, I'm saying in a communist revolution would self-abolish. That's the point.
Okay, even though it's unlikely that would actually happen. Not that it's unlikely, for the purpose of argument, not that it's unlikely that they would obtain control of the system, because obviously it's just a thought experiment. But I'm saying, assuming they obtain control of the system, it goes against the natural human incentive for people to gain power and then relinquish their own power. So while it sounds great on paper, on the myriad thin pages of Das Kapital, it doesn't actually practically.
Do you have an argument for human nature?
What do you mean? Do I have an argument for human nature?
Are you like? Do you have like a syllogism? Like, can you give me like a premise and a conclusion on why why that's the case, like why human nature is inherently like, oh, people are just going to do that. Like,
Yes,
why?
I do
If
have
I'm
an argument for
saying
that. Because it's self-evident through observation, which is the
that's
wait,
circular.
let me
It's
finish.
circular.
Through no, I understand why you would say it's circular, but allow me to finish. Through observation, because we have to base observation on some kind of shared truths. So assuming that we can both see, assuming that we can have some kind of shared things that we agree on, I'm sure you would agree that this world is based on us having to consume other living beings in order to survive, right?
It's not necessary.
You don't think that it's
As
self-evident
in said,
that creatures have to consume other creatures? Let's just say mammals. Do mammals have to survive by consuming other living creatures, be they plants or animals?
oh yeah,
Okay, so therefore there's already baked into the nature, whatever we want to call nature, there's baked into that, there is already a paradigm whereby my self-interest goes against the self-interest of other living beings, right? By me
sure.
eating, yeah, exactly. So therefore, it's self-evident that me having leverage or power over another creature puts me in a position where it's either me or them, right? And because I'm in a position that where it's either me or them, I have an incentive to maintain power.
Sure, capitalists
And
do
exactly.
have,
And because I have an incentive to maintain power, it stands to reason that mammals
capitalists have,
having an incentive to maintain power often will not act against their own interest. Whether, even if you abolish capital, even because I agree, money is not real. Money is just a system that allows our labor to be monopolized and controlled by capitalists. I agree with that. But the problem is we still encounter that inherent problem that is observable in nature, that when we have power, we have an incentive to keep it.
yeah, but like if we all have this power as a species, then who, like, the negation has been negated. Like who are we fighting against after that? Like it would just be like,
We're
what's
fighting against other human beings that have access to other things. So I use an example that involves consumption, like the consumption of other creatures to survive. There are other things that mirror that framework, like access to the best locations, access to fertile land, access to sources of water, access to beautiful women, access to friends, social hierarchies. They all mirror that same framework where people have an incentive that contradicts the incentives of others.
yeah, but like, say for water, for example, and all these kind of like more public goods, um, what's the contradiction in saying that it's in everyone's self, like, it's in the majority of people's self-interest that water is freely accessible and just, yeah, like what's the contradiction in saying that's an egoist position? Like you don't even have to be like all kumbaya to say that.
Well, okay, would you agree that there's limited access to fresh water for most human beings?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I have better access to fresh water than another human being, would they not have to access that fresh water to my detriment if I'm then have less access to the fresh water in order for them to have more access to the fresh water? If fresh water is limited,
if
so
that
we
was
have
the case, it's
so
not
we
the
have
case.
competing incentives, right?
Yeah, but it's not the case though. Like,
Oh, you don't think
in
fresh water is limited?
Yeah, it is limited, but like we can, if let's say like people didn't have to get paid from it, we could say that we could consciously divvy up the water and make sure everyone's got enough to drink and enough to do what they need to do with water. Like, what's the contradiction saying that?
Well, all it would take is one tyrant to say, well, actually, I'm a tyrant, so I want to control how much water everyone has, and therein lies the problem. I think, at least with capitalist systems, there's some kind of
how
honor,
do
because
tyrants
I'm not saying I'm in favor of the
How-
tyrant that does that. I'm saying it's inevitable that some tyrant will do something like that.
Yeah, but like if we've abolished the nation state and abolished these enclosures of land, these private enclosures of land and resources, then like who's going to, like, tyrants in history weren't just one man wrecking ball, like they had armies, like who's gonna join them?
Well, I'll do it
Who's
with my
gonna-
family. If I know, one sec. What's wrong with him? Oh, it's bedtime. Yeah. If I know that everybody has equal access to water, and I have a family of 1,000 people, and I'm like, I don't really like those people over there that have access to water, and I say, well, nobody's got a militia, nobody's got guns, nobody's got money. What's stopping? I'm not saying I would do this. What's stopping me and my family from going and saying, right, we now control the access to this water. What are you gonna do about it?
And you and your 1,000 offspring have, I'm guessing that you've somehow procured weapons.
Yeah, because let's say we are a warlike tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are things that exist, right?
Well, then it would be you against, I guess, the rest of 8 billion of us.
You don't think other people would come to that conclusion that, if I make a warlike tribe as well, if I join a warlike tribe, you don't think it? Because I think when you accepted that.
So who's being idealist now? Like, if you're saying your army of 1,000 adorers was going to fend off and attract everyone to your side when everyone's already equitably getting water.
No, I'm saying that not just me. I'm saying loads of groups of people would then decide, yeah, I might do that, because some people might be traumatized, some people might be jealous, some people might be greedy, and those people, many of the time, would come together, just as we see throughout all of human history, would come together and say, we want to monopolize power. And unfortunately, it is unfortunate. Unfortunately, that is the nature of the realm that we live in. It would be great if it wasn't like that, but it pretending it's not like that is just disingenuous.
Yeah, I'm not saying to pretend it's not like that. I'm just saying the next revolutionary kind of force and the next like era of economics would look closer to communism than feudalism or capitalism. Like, you believe that capitalism is just this like thing that we're born with and is just going to last forever. Like, capitalism is just going to last forever.
In a sense, yeah.
So do you believe capitalism never started? Like, it was always there?
In a sense, yeah.
In what sense?
In a sense that I think there's always been.
It was always there.
Well, from what we understand, I'm not saying I know all of human history, but from what we know of human history, there's always been competition for resources. There's always been people with leverage.
Capitalism.
No, but I'm saying that is the basis of capitalism. So I'm saying capitalism is a natural consequence of those things.
No, capitalism was a natural consequence of the Enclosure Act and the following merchant class that overthrew the aristocratic class. I'm just saying the next aristocratic class will be the communist.
Well,
that's just the argument he's making in the manifesto, and well, that's his theory of revolution for that specific time in history in Western Europe, talking mainly about Manchester and Germany. But obviously Lenin put forward his theory for where he was, because it wasn't the same material conditions. Same thing with Mao.
What do you think about this comment by really that says, I don't think either are brainwashed, right are more realistic, left are ideological?
Like who on the right? Like
do you think that what you're saying is idealistic? I think he meant idealistic.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I would say historically, yes. Like it was an idea, obviously fueled by and created and formed by the material conditions of kind of late Fifth Monarchy France. I've probably botched up. Like that put the ideas. And obviously, like Les Miserables and the different media that were and books that were like being distributed in the streets, that put forward the idea for the French Revolution in the first place, for example. So, like, yeah, they are idealistic until they do some shit, and they do it like it's idealistic until it's done right. And now we've got like what, the sixth French Republic. Like nations were born out of these idealists.
And then what happened to the French Republic? Did it then become capitalist?
Yeah, but they obviously, yeah, but that's not an argument. Do you understand why that's not an argument? Because I'm saying that's historically
that pretty much is. I wouldn't say it's an argument. That's evidence for my argument. Because
they overthrew the monarchy, bro.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's evidence for my argument, because even once they did what you said needs to be done, they still ended up in being a capitalist system. Which suggests it's evidence that, I'm not saying it means, but it's evidence that suggests that those things
take capitalism to be?
Naturally are natural consequences of people monopolizing.
What do you take capitalism to be?
I take capitalism to be a system by which, due to competition, people have incentives to accumulate capital, or if it's not capital, then resources.
Yeah, capitalism is...
Let's get a working definition.
The private and exclusionary direction of the means of production.
Yeah, so I'd say
it's characterized by wage labor.
Yeah, I'd say the private. It says capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership of the means of production. So I would say, in my definition, the private ownership of the means of production part is the accumulation of resources. Resources being whatever, access to resources, or labor, which of course itself is a resource.
Yeah, but it's private. Like,
private, as in when I said accumulation, that would be being done
exclusionary.
Exactly. Yeah, capitalism is exclusionary.
Yeah, the point of communism would then to be non-exclusionary. Like that would be the point, right?
Well, that would be the hope. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. Like the point of the French Revolution and the revolutionary theory they put out there was to bring forth liberalism and the abolishment of the monarchy in France. They achieved what they needed to do. Same thing with the nationalists and the KMT party in China. Mao achieved what he needed to do. Lenin, obviously Trotsky, all these guys in Russia, they achieved what they need to do to bring forward the next evolution of their.
Okay, so you're saying it's like an iterative process whereby they've achieved one stage of it, and then we're going forward towards the newer stages of it. Is that what you're saying?
You could say they fertilize the ground. I don't believe any of these. I wouldn't say, like, the Enlightenment gave birth to all these ideas, for example, and that gives birth to the negation of the ideas. So like in the 70s and 80s, we had like people that were very critical of the Enlightenment period. We got Adorno, we got many writers and philosophers in the 20th century that were like that negated the Enlightenment kind of ethos. So like that's the whole point, and that's the whole like movement of history to me. I'd take like a Hegelian view on that. But I say that to say that capitalism won't last forever. The communist theory of revolution is the theory that we want to put forward to abolish the current state of things, and that's just it.
Are you part of a communist collective or organization?
Yeah, I've been to a few parties, but like, you want me to be real? You want me to be real?
Yes.
Like, I'm obviously like, you know what? I'm not. You can see me in it, and the type of dudes you come across there, they're just not your type of dudes, really.
Assuming they can be described as dudes.
Well, they are dudes. Like, some of them are dudes. Some of
them.
Hey, they could be they. I'm not like,
exactly.
I'm not that guy. But like, it's truly liberty for people to make those decisions, right? Like this would be like, why is it not anti, free America? Like for people to not to kind of like identify how they please.
No, I'm not against that.
Yeah, so
Why did you?
Yeah,
Why
that's
did you?
just it, really.
Why did you
I
infer?
feel like if there was like more of a Black Panther Party in the UK, I'd probably be more that type of Marxist.
Why did you infer before that I was a coon?
Oh, I forgot why I said that. You're gonna have to rehash.
You said
the
something
convo,
about I
like,
read like raccoon literature. Or something.
yeah, you probably read like Thomas Sowell and think he's like the greatest thing ever, bro.
No, I don't read
you
it. I've seen a couple
probably
of his YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's probably the height of your economic knowledge or like theory, political theory, and I wouldn't blame you.
Why? Because I'm not a Marxist.
Nah, because like there's a guy in the chat there, Ace. We go back and forth all the time.
Yeah,
He's
Ace is
a
smart.
ANCAP. Yeah, he's extremely smart. ANCAP. He's an ANCAP. He's like an anarcho-capitalist. He doesn't believe in the state, but he believed in like extreme private property.
But Ace and me have the same opinions.
Really?
Yes.
You've reasoned like really?
Yeah, we talk on this all the time.
Fairs. So you're an ANCAP?
In a sense, yeah.
I guess so. I'm just not. But I see where it comes from, and we've actually come to some conclusions that like we've laid out the same premises and just come to different conclusions. So I don't know what that says. That says that just like that's kind of I don't know what that says about argumentation in general. But yeah.
It says that an intelligent person can be aware enough to identify problems, but then come to different solutions. I would say it's better to have dissenting opinions, like I have dissenting opinions with you. It's better to have that than people that can't even identify the problems that exist. I recognize and acquiesce to the fact that the issues that you're describing are real. Neither of us are disagreeing that people accumulate capital, people abuse and exploit labor. Neither of us are disagreeing with that. Neither of us are disagreeing with the fact that people that run societies and capitalists are often pieces of shit that don't deserve to have power, or often the world could be better if their power was relinquished from them. But the solution, I think, when you have ANCAP type solutions, they're more realistic and they more contend with the problems of human nature than idealistic solutions like those of Marx.
ANCAP theory is just a legal framework. Like it's dependent on lofty ideals like voluntary exchange, whatever the fuck that means. Like these things.
Voluntary exchange
like,
based on incentives, though. At least his arguments are based on the actual incentives of people. You get something in exchange for the. Are you talking about voluntarism, like voluntary taxation and stuff like that?
Voluntary exchange in general, like he believes voluntary exchange actually exists, but I say everything is historically contingent. Like things aren't as free and as up in the air and as idealistic. Things are grounded in material reality, and I'm a materialist and Marxist because of that. I used to be a libertarian, believe it or not.
Oh, what happened, bro?
Believe it or not.
Did someone take your girlfriend?
Where on earth voluntary exchange actually exists?
Did someone with more capital take your girlfriend?
Bro, you can see my face card there, bro. Handsome lad, me. No one's taking my girlfriend. But yeah, like I say that to say that, okay, give me an example of truly voluntary, like I don't take free will to exist, for example. So
that's
truly voluntary?
That's more of a philosophical thing. It depends. Yeah, it depends on. We have to define. So when you say voluntary, are you suggesting someone doing something of their own free will in the sense that free will exists, or are you saying assuming free will doesn't exist and assuming that there's a deterministic basis upon which people act, given that voluntary, like as in, yes, we don't have free will, but people can still take independent actions in absence of free will. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I would say the first one. So
okay.
when you said
okay, yeah. Well, assuming free will doesn't exist and everything downstream from that would mean that when nobody's operating based on incentive, they're just doing stuff and
they're just doing stuff. Your desires are constructed for you.
But if that was true, then Marxism still wouldn't work, because give people the proletariat would take power, and then we have no idea what would happen after that because there's no free will. And
but define work. Like define work in this.
It could achieve its goal. It could achieve its goal of relinquishing power from the capitalists. It could achieve that goal. That would work.
Yeah,
I'm saying it wouldn't. I'm saying it wouldn't work to eliminate the problems that we currently face in terms of the economic problems of inequality, poverty, etc.
Okay, who's rich and poor when there's no money?
The people that have the best things.
Like, and like, what would be the issue in you? Like, if you built something really cool, what's the issue in, like, what's the contradiction? Like, if you consciously build something really cool for yourself, whether that be a house or a car, or you get together, or you apply for something at Workers' Council and you get it, what do you like? What's the contradiction here? Like, do you think people are just like these envious little things that proper pocket watching? Like,
yes, I think human beings. If we say that, if for the purposes of argument, if we were to assume that there's such thing as good and evil, I would say that human beings are closer to evil than good inherently.
Yeah, if we were to say there was such thing.
Just for the purpose of if there's good and evil.
Yeah.
So I do. I'm a skeptic. I do think that
I don't,
in a workers' council, some dude's gonna
got so far. I was like, why do you think if we were that evil, surely we would have annihilated ourselves so far back? I think
that we've got this far because the people with power have an incentive to keep loads of dumb people around, and so they kind of drag along the dumb horde in order to work for them, basically.
Yeah. So I'm saying that there's a like an interdeterminate class that like there's two things that are constructing each other. The slave constructs the master constructs the slave in both ways.
Yeah.
For the slave to emancipate itself, that means the master is no more. So that's the negation of the negation and that's what Marx takes from Hegel to kind of conceptualize capitalism and class. Like things like define each other. And the only way to abolish the definition is for the definition itself to fall under the weight of its own contradictions. Like,
well, that's kind of a semantic argument. You abolish the master and the slave, call them something else. One person's still got a better life than the other.
Yeah, but that's not the argument here, though. It's not like the argument is he's got a better life. But if it's not at the expense of other people, then that's fine. Have a better life.
You don't think someone will consider that? Hey, he made himself a car. Why are people going to him to get a car and not going to me? Hey, he's got a prettier girlfriend. Hey, like he lives next to the beach. Hey, you don't think people will think like that and then devise means to try and extricate the...
I'd wager every single human being could live on a coastline.
But some coastlines are better than others, right?
I mean, yeah, but you can't have everything.
Indeed. Right. I've given you a lot of time, as I always do on these lives. Thank you for your intriguing sophistry. I'll call it sophistry.
Bro, read Marx, bro. Just read him so you can actually formulate an argument against. Because maybe I'm not like putting it right or like positing the arguments correctly. I think I've been pretty plain English today. I don't know. Read your intellectual like opposites, I guess.
I'll think about it.
I do. Ask Ace. He knows. But yeah, man.
All right. Take care of yourself.
No bet.
Guys, we was going to be shit flinging today and bringing up constructed narratives about how Trump bad and and ICE good and all this shit. And this guy came in with his like I say, with his sophistry. It's always good talking to people that disagree with you and whatnot. We've still had people going non-stop commenting. Let's get some of the comments. TZ says enlightened centrism is inherently right-wing. Anarchy says that was rough. Oh, was that difficult? It makes for good YouTube content. I'll pop it on YouTube. All of my content is available on YouTube, by the way. My channel is called State of Deception. You can watch live right now. I think my live stream is going right now. It tends to be very difficult to transfer the viewership from TikTok to YouTube, but I'm sure slowly but surely we will create viewership on YouTube that is worthy enough to start triggering the algorithm to recommend my content. Because right now I post stuff and it gets like 5 views. I do have some things that have more views than others. Let's see if the live stream is going right now. Yeah, it says we're live right now. The live is entitled Brainwashed Left versus Restarted Right. So yeah, show some support on my YouTube channel. Appreciate that. JP says I'm more right wing than left wing. Gutter Clutter Az says both our voting is a sham. Oh, we got a lot of requesters. Okay, let's see if any of the requesters stayed long enough to give themselves the opportunity to debate on live. What's up?
Good.
What's up, Autistic Viking?
What's up, man? So, in my opinion, I think both sides are definitely brainwashed to an extent. I'm personally conservative. I do not agree with everything Trump does. Half of the stuff I think he does is honestly stupid. But I do agree with some of his topics. That's why I'm leaning more right than I am left.
What do you think about the fact that he
I also think the left is brainwashed.
What do you think about the fact that he started a war
in Iran? A lot
of
them just take what they see online and run with it. Same goes for the right as well. They do that as well.
What do you think about the war in Iran? Like, Trump started a war. Are you in support of that?
I think that whole situation is dumb. I don't think any of that should be going on. Then again, that war was happening before as well. Not as bad as it is now, granted, but it was still like at the beginning of a war before Trump even became president. So I don't think it's fully his fault. He's got some blame for it, for sure. He's definitely pushed it farther. But I don't think he's the reason for it starting.
Why would you follow somebody who lies so much, though?
Oh, I don't follow him. I don't agree with absolutely everything he says.
Yeah,
I agree with him on few things. I was conservative before he even went for president.
Oh, so you're not like a Trumper?
No, not now. Granted, I did support him for a little bit. Don't really support him anymore because I grew up. I understood more. But I am still right leaning, more in the center because I understand both sides. Like I understand the left's point. I understand the right's point.
Okay, I hear you. Why is your name Autistic Viking?
It's like a joke. I am actually autistic. I'm actually autistic, and I think it's funny. So,
are you also a Viking?
I've got parts in my DNA from ancestors, so I think so. I have ancestors from that area. I don't know if they were Vikings, but they were in the area at that time. So.
Okay, interesting. And do you think that being that you're from America, do you think that the best way to do America, as I always say, is to turn off the television?
Pretty much, yes. But I also think if you see something, you shouldn't just automatically run with one narrative. I think you should always do your research on it first. Give your opinion first. If you want to give your opinion before you learn anything, go ahead. But once you learn everything, I think you should formulate how you feel on your own. I think you should be able to understand both sides. I don't think you should automatically hate both sides because it is obviously two sides to every story.
I hear you.
Now, granted, some things, there aren't two sides to every story, Obviously, some things is black and white, one thing or another,
I get you. I get you. Okay, thanks for your perspective, my friend.
Have a good one, man.
All right, all right. JTSSER says they want to legalize abortion until birth. So sick. Beware of the people who call good evil and evil good. Yeah, it seems like we're on track to do that in the UK. Legalize abortion until birth. I don't know if that will happen anytime soon, but I feel like in my lifetime that they will actually try and do something like that. God, these feminists are like absolutely insane. Like, legal. I actually see people saying that now. They're like, abortion should be legal up till birth. Like, what? How did we get here? Roger says the left will die on their beliefs. Usually the right will back off them if there's a deal involved. Don't really get what you mean by that. Dante says, put me in, sir. I worked in politics for 2 years as a libertarian. Oh, we love to see a woke libertarian. What's up, Dante?
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good, man. Yeah, so I worked for a political organization called Young Americans for Liberty. I was the VP of legislation.
I follow them on Facebook, bro.
Oh, you're nice. Yeah, I was the state chair in New Hampshire.
That's dope.
About 2 years ago, and I was the VP of Legislative Affairs in Mass. So,
that's dope, bro.
You know, we work with the Thomas Masseys, the Rand Pauls, but, you know, a lot of us were pushing for Trump, you know, during the election because he was lying. He was basically running on libertarian principles and like being a fiscal conservative. And then he just goes and starts a war with Iran and, you know, the tariffs. A lot of libertarians that are, you know, lean right, we don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So he's really pissing a lot of us off.
Yeah, I think the Democrats are going to win the next election as a result.
Oh, 100%. And the Republicans, if they were smart, they would get off the J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio train and push for a Rand Paul and a Thomas Massey ticket because they vote. Their liberty scores are the highest liberty scores in Congress and Senate.
Being that libertarianism seems to be more aligned with American Republican ideals, what do you think stops Republicans from adopting libertarian or supporting libertarian candidates?
It's all money. The lobbyists have so much pull. I remember joining politics thinking that I was going to make like a change or something. No, every politician basically is run by some lobby.
So in that sense, why if libertarianism is in the interest of the American people, why do you think that people don't put money
because so many
behind it?
people well, I think the problem is we have a large masses in the United States that aren't fully educated and they like have opinions without having knowledge on the subject. Like they've never read anything. Like they don't even know any of the history. I think that's like a privilege of ours. And they think they have to vote blue or red and they have to always side. That's why we like to stick to teams. So people are just sticking to their teams. Like there are things that Trump does that I agree with that are great, you know, and then there's stuff he does that I'm like, whoa, like my 401k's up. Like that shit is great. But the shit he's doing as foreign policy is terrible.
I just had a lengthy debate with a Marxist, or I should say a communist.
I was there.
Yeah, what did you think about the stuff that he was saying? And what did you think about my responses as well?
You know, I kind of caught the tail end of it. I know he told you to go read Marx. You know, I've read Marx. I think there's plenty of holes in the communist argument. I think the point you made of there's always going to be someone better. Like people just hear communism a lot of the time and they think, ooh, free stuff. In reality, like it's someone like you get the option. If you don't want to go to work in a capitalist society, you don't have to go to work. There are going to be consequences to those actions, but it's not the government putting those consequences on you. In a communist government, if you don't want to go dig that damn hole, the government's going to make you, or they're going to put you up against a wall.
Yeah, I actually know someone that lived in a communist Russia. She's kind of getting old. I think it was communist, or she lived in one of the Soviet Union countries, and
USSR.
And she said that life under communism was actually really good, but she said that people that didn't work, they actually had like consequences for them, and they would get like publicly shamed. And she said that sometimes like the police would come and like harass them and stuff.
Yeah. I always say, you know, when the Berlin Wall fell, I mean, when that wall fell, trust me, there was no one running to the other side.
Why
know
do
what
you,
I mean?
why do you
Like,
think Marxism is so attractive though to many young Americans?
well, I think it's basically the privilege we grow in. You know, people don't want to work. They want the free thing. If someone's going to give you something, they'll give you. I know people that purposely like stay on Section 8, like make sure their kids don't make certain amounts of money so they can stay on Section 8 and have cheap housing. Like people like free stuff. If the government's going to do something for them, they're attracted to that. And I think that's the issue.
To play devil's advocate for the other guy's position,
Yep.
if human beings inherently don't want to work, then doesn't that mean that there's something wrong with our system?
I think there's something wrong with the culture. I think there's something wrong in society where we have gotten used to things being so easy, things being
But
so quick.
let me kind of reframe that. I'm saying, like,
Go ahead.
shouldn't we create systems for humanity that are not dependent on the labor of people that actually don't want to do that labor? That's kind of what I meant.
So there will always, in a society, people need to work. If none of us work, and everyone has to work to make a living, like all throughout history. Like, but there have been bums in history, people that just died. Like, remember 500 years ago, if you didn't work, you didn't do something for yourself, you probably died.
But what
Or you
about
were
if people
bumming
just
around.
want to? What about if people just want to hunt and like? Isn't that kind
They
of
should be
more-
allowed to do that. I
and
think,
not, but not
I
work,
think
right? Is that work? Like, if
I mean,
someone
you could go as far back as the American Revolution, and the Anti-Federalists and the Federalists, where the Federalists were more constitutionalists, and the Anti-Federalists were still fighting for the Articles of Confederation,
Yeah.
and to keep using those as America's laws. Like Thomas Jefferson wanted us to have a small government and be a mostly agrarian society where people just hunted. We had small societies everywhere, but we've grown so far. So it's like we've built this system so. We're very populated. We've built this huge system and people have become reliant on that system.
Yeah.
And I think that we have a lot of people that, like, think about it. Like I said, 500 years ago, you didn't want to work. You didn't want to do something. You probably died. You know what I mean?
Would you be more aligned with the anti-federalist perspective?
Yeah, I would. I think that would have been a better outcome. We would have struggled at that time, as any new country would struggle economically. Like, we probably wouldn't be the huge superpower we are today, but we'd probably be a more free society.
Okay. And do you think as a result that the USA should balkanize?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you think that the United States should balkanize so that the states themselves operate more in line with the anti-federalist
as their own countries, basically?
Kind of. Like, obviously, the anti-federalists,
Yeah.
if they had got what they wanted, you would essentially have something closer to a balkanized America than what we have now.
Exactly. We'd all have our own currency, and that was the issue
Yeah.
at the time, because people had different currencies going to different states. And you know what I mean? Like, they could have worked something out, but yeah, like the anti-federalists, I mean, they weren't like strictly like state of that. I think they were up for, if I remember correctly, they were up for amending it and like working towards a better country. But yeah, we'd probably be more balkanized. The states would have more power. I mean,
Didn't they have
half of our
another
states have a higher GDP.
Didn't they have another constitution that they wanted to like implement or something like that?
Well, they had multiple drafts of the Constitution.
Yeah.
I mean, they worked towards it.
Okay. And so are you basically against the federal government? Because one problem we have...
Yeah, I am more for states' rights. I think states need to have more rights. I think the federal government should be there to protect the constitutional rights that we are given. I think like that's why like we can't have abortion in Roe v. Wade, because like the Constitution really says nothing about that.
One
I mean,
problem
we'd have to amend the Constitution.
One problem we have in Europe is a lot of people want to get rid of like the Human Rights Act because it represents like the European kind of power structure having leverage over a sovereign nation. But we also encounter the problem in the UK that there's a lot of state and government overreach, and often you actually have things like the Human Rights Act operating as almost something that neutralizes state overreach. So don't you think sometimes it's good to have overarching power structures that can regulate a state?
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's what the Constitution is there for. Every state has to abide by the U.S. Constitution. The federal Constitution overrides any state constitution.
Yeah, but like the enforcement thereof is obviously much better done with a federal government, like a federal government that's more powerful than the states, right?
I
Playing
wouldn't
devil's
say they
advocate,
have
of
to be
course.
more like define more powerful.
Well, obviously, in order for a body to enforce it or exert its will on another body, it would have to have some kind of leverage over it.
Yeah, well, I think the United States military would still be run through like the federal government.
Okay.
I would think there would have to be something like now we're talking about like what ifs, but like there would have to be something in place where the federal government controls the military. That way, like they have the military power. I mean, think about it. That's basically why we have the power now. Like there's the U.S. military. It's all different ideas from different states. And once they go into the military, they feel that bond of the military. They're all brothers and sisters at that point. So it's like they do like to stick together. I think they will follow. They're more likely to follow orders. Like even if we had a civil war today and people are like, oh, the military, like, you know, maybe they'll run away. I don't think that will happen. I think a lot of them will follow orders.
In terms of, so you did this Young Americans for Liberty thing, which I've been following for quite a while. What did you defect from them, and what are you doing now?
No, I actually work in sales. So I ended up getting out of the political organization. I loved the political organization. It was actually a great place to work. It's a lot of young people running the company that really care about the country. I'll give them that. It was just I didn't want to move to Texas. I live in Massachusetts. I could have interviewed to work there. I wouldn't have once I got out of college, the state chair points. The state chair pay didn't make sense.
I wouldn't have taken you for someone that lived in Massachusetts. I would have assumed you live in like Tennessee or something.
Oh no, man! I grew up in Boston, like 10 minutes outside of Boston. I'm a right-leaning libertarian, so like I love weed. I actually just hit the bong. But I have fiscal, like I follow like Austrian economics. Like I think like the world could be more capitalist, and I think less red tape on the organizations could, you know, benefit. But, you know, that's the economic question. I think the left is more brainwashed, like culturally. And I think the right, like there are people that think Trump does no wrong. And I'm like, okay. It's like the same people that said Bush did nothing wrong. Every president has done something wrong. Like Obama brought us from 2 to 7 wars. Like people forget about these things. It's because people don't know about these things. If you go and tell you say to someone, oh, do you like Obama on the left? They'll be like, oh, Obama was the best president we ever had. Okay, but you're mad that Trump went to Iran, but you don't care about what we did to Yemen, you know, all the drone strikes we did from 2008 to 2016.
Yep.
Syria, Libya, all of that.
Yeah.
It's like people like don't know. Like they both suck. How about that? Like they're sticking to their teams.
Yeah.
And that's the issue.
Political lobbyists, neocons and neolibs.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Is Young Americans for Liberty, are they a political party?
No, they are a nonprofit. So they just work to get liberty. They get liberty politicians elected. So like my job was to start chapters on campus. I actually would compete with Turning Point. Like I go to college, I'd be like, you have a Turning Point here. I'm like, we're more liberty valued. Like we don't have a stance on abortion. Like we don't have a stance on it. All of our stances are like pro-capitalism, you know, pro-liberty politics, very gun friendly, all that stuff.
Yeah, if I move to America, when I move to America, I'll probably join something like that, because I think I do need to become part of some kind of organization. I'm kind of a bit of a voice shouting in the wind in the UK.
I know you guys are tough over there.
Yeah, tell me about it. But no, interesting. Final question: are you planning to vote? Yeah. Who should an American vote for in when's the next election? 2028?
Well, we have the midterms in you have the midterms coming up, and then you have the the 4-year presidential election in 2028.
2028.
I think what Americans need to do is really read your history, read it. Don't get it off the Twitter. Don't get it off the internet. Go read a book, and then look into Thomas Massey, look into Rand Paul. If you're gonna vote Republican, really consider them.
And I'm assuming you don't think that people should vote for the Republican Party. Do you think that they're better, a lesser of two evils compared to the Democrats, or?
Yeah, like I voted for Trump.
Okay.
I voted for Trump. I wasn't going to vote for Kamala. I think the left is more brainwashed culturally. Like I'm a Catholic, and I don't like to use my religion as like put it onto my solely put that onto my politics. But I think, I just think what the left's doing with like gender and all this stuff is a little too much. I'm pro, like, if you're gay, whatever, I don't care. That's once you're 18, you do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But I just think the left is pushing that. And I used to be a teacher, actually, when I was doing Young Americans for Liberty, because that was just a college job. and the schools are pushing it like, oh, it's so bad. That's why I didn't end up teaching my degrees in history, secondary education, and a minor in poli-sci.
Interesting. Okay, I think it was good speaking to you. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
wrap it up there, and I'm gonna wrap the live up as well. Give you the final say. Appreciate you, man. I'm just gonna pop you a follow as well. I love a cheeky libertarian at me. I do. But thanks everyone for patronizing the live yet again. Please check me out on YouTube. State of Deception is the YouTube channel. Thanks for the consistent viewers and the likes and stuff. I'm sorry we got cut off before when we went live. We had a bit of a larger viewership, and then I got banned. I had to appeal the ban, and I'm back off the ban. I will be ending the TikTok live, but I'll continue the YouTube live because I want to do some TikTok video reactions. I do them every day. So I do one of these lives every day and then TikTok video reactions every day. So if you want to continue watching, you can check me out on YouTube. I'll be live streaming on YouTube, just reacting to some TikTok content. It's only like 20 minutes or so. So yeah, great. Thanks everyone, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Well, bye TikTok. If you're on YouTube, stay. Or if you're watching later, the recording that I post of this, please stay. I'm just putting the TikTok setup on right now. Actually, I have quite a few videos I want to react to. This is really fun as well, this little thing that I do where I do the video reactions, because it's my feed, and I think my feed is actually, I think my feed is actually really interesting because I mainly engage with thought-provoking content. So it's good in terms of reactions because it's not like it's not silly. So if you like to be challenged, if you like your thoughts to be provoked, then check out what we're.
This is probably a huge mistake, and I will probably.
So this is the first video. Oh, is this TikTok? Yeah. Okay. So let's just move this here. Okay, and we are.
This is probably a huge mistake, and I will probably delete this video. I trained in AI to be a PhD level developmental psychologist, and then I just set it loose. No boundaries, no cultural rules. Give me the ideal day for a child to develop into a healthy adult. I told it if you want them to be in school for 12 hours a day or not at all, that's fine. You want them to stare at a blank white wall all day? Go ahead. And this is what it came up with. Which, to be honest, is not surprising at all to me, a person getting their PhD in developmental psychology who researches parenting for a living. First hour of the day, no alarms, just morning, slow mornings, regulation, connection, low dopamine. Then they go to school, right, John? No. Unstructured outdoor free play for 2 to 4 hours. Next up, you have an hour to 2 hours of what they call social play and conflict. So this is like play at the park where they're with a kid, or like in any environment where they're having to navigate peer relationships. Again, no adult intervention, like just the kids working it out. Next up, focus skill building, which is like school, right? So it's learning how to read or piano or maths or whatever. And it's 30 to 90 minutes total, not 6 hours. 30.
I don't understand why it has to be so complicated. This is basically just saying don't fucking go to school, don't send your kids to school. I'm definitely not sending my kids to school. I don't know why anyone would.
30 to 90 minutes of focused education and skill building, and that includes things again that are like fine arts, not just education, but like all forms. That's it. That's all they're gonna get for the rest of the day. Okay, then we have meaningful contribution, which is like chores, right? So this is like housework, anything that makes them feel like they're a contributing member of the family. Wait for this next one. Boredom. Just boredom. 2 hours scattered around, just boredom is important. I'm bored. I don't know, come up with something. Then we return to physical play and movement, which is very similar to outdoor unstructured free play. Notice how this is like capstoning the day. Like 6 hours is what you're getting there. And that doesn't even count like the 2 hours here or 1 to 2 hours here with friends. Like this is just guaranteed, necessary. Then again, evening connection and story, this is like with you, especially the story piece, telling the story of the day, revisiting the day, like thinking about their memories, like all that's really important. This is also where you could do like reading to your kids. And then sleep for 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, it's funny how different this is from like how kids actually are at school. School, how it is now, is extremely traumatizing. And I don't know, putting your kids through that, it's not even necessary in the modern world. We have the technology that your kids can learn and not have to go to school. They can socialize. Where I live now, there's a park right next to us. So I'm just going to be like to my sons, go and play in the park every single day. Don't go to school. Homeschool, we'll figure it out. If the child kidnappers and CPS come, then we'll figure it out. But putting your kids through mainstream school, I wouldn't call it child abuse. I would just call it unnecessary. It's just unnecessary.
Now compare this to the average day, which you can pause
Oh my God.
to read this.
Let's see. Morning alarm, rush out of the house, 30 to 60 minutes. Jesus Christ. School 6 to 7 hours, adult-led extracurricular, homework. This is literally torture. Physical play movement, 30 to 60 minutes, evening connections. Jesus Christ.
You notice the difference? Something that was supposed to get 60 to 90 minutes is getting 7 plus 2, like 7 to 9 hours.
Oh, one of the top comments says, let's be honest, school is as long as it is so that parents can work. Jesus, that is actually terrible when you actually think about it. So yeah, parents send their kids to school solely so that their kids can solely so that their kids can be away from them. Really, really sad. I'll just play the video so we can...
Something that got like 9 hours gets 30 to 60 minutes. But John, how are they going to ever learn how to read if they only have 30 to 90 minutes? Research actually shows us that that's enough. Like, that's all you need. Going back to this average day, the craziest part of this to me is that parents who send their kids to school are actually doing as much homeschool as homeschoolers. You're just doing that on top of the 7 hours that they already did. Anyway, like I said, I'm probably going to delete this, so take a screenshot. This is probably a huge mistake, and I will probably delete this video. Really I trained an AI to...
Yeah, that was a good video. I agree with everything you said. I'm not sending my kids to school. Hold on, let's just fix this. Okay, cool. Let's move on. You now that I need you. Slaves suffered more than Jesus. I need to pee, hold on. Yeah, what? Slaves suffered more than Jesus did on the cross. There's no way to know that. I'm sure some slaves had good lives, even though being a slave isn't good. We're all slaves now anyway.
Me and a couple of the fellas are about to present in front of 100 people and some VCs a lacrosse recruiting website. How you guys feeling?
Right as rain, we good. We ready to go. It ain't nothing.
Let's go. Me and a couple...
You just know why this has 600k views. People, I see a brother, I don't hear a brother. Fellas, oh brother, your team. It did seem a bit inorganic, I'm not gonna lie. It's always terrible when you're like the only black person in like a white friend group. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but it's just, we are different, aren't we? So it feels different.
My name is Michael Khalil. I'm a circuit court judge here in Jacksonville, Florida. The state of Florida has filed a petition for declaratory judgment. They're asking for an emergency C-section be granted by the court.
I have not had a chance to be able to consult with my own legal representation, and I'm trying to understand how you are taking my rights away as a patient to be able to decide my own care to give me an emergency C-section against my will.
Well, let me ask you about that. What about the risks to the child?
Anytime you go into childbirth, whether you do a vaginal or a C-section, there's inherent risk to the mother and the baby. I have other children out here in the world that need me. If I die from a C-section, nobody on this call is going to take care of my children.
Well, you have a new doctor coming on. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they don't have anybody African American.
I don't understand why the state thinks that it has the right to tell someone, we think your child's going to be suffer worse consequences. And this is premonition, by the way. They're just assuming that they know. Therefore, we're going to take your rights away. I don't think that's a justified thing. I think childbirth is inherently risky. If a child dies because a parent wants to give birth a certain way, I don't think that's something that the state should be involved in, because obviously everybody wants their child to be born and be healthy, but you don't know what's going to happen before the child comes out. It's not like the child was born and was abused. That's different. So she wants to have a vaginal birth. What's the problem? And this has loads of views as well. It's crazy as well because I speak to so many parents that tell me that the NHS did this to them. And nobody cares because people trust doctors and they think doctors know everything. It's just really silly and sad.
That they can give me.
Well, let me ask you. I don't know that. I don't find that race really has much to do with this, ma'am.
It does have much to do with it because historically, Black people do better when they have healthcare providers that look like them. It's nobody Black in here. I'm so tired of this.
I would actually say that race doesn't have anything to do with it, but my experience in hospitals tells me different. I do think that people are less likely to listen to Black patients when they advocate for themselves because there's a perception that Black patients may or may not be less educated, which may or may not be true. And I also think that healthcare is like a primal thing that triggers people's fight or flight. So when you see people different about to deliver a child and you know all of the risks involved, they're more likely to take precautionary risk based on their perception of how Black people are, which is also may or may not be true. And some of those precautionary risks can often involve involving the state, making decisions on behalf of the individual, which in normal society might not be as big of a deal, but in this setting, it results in things like this.
Over this whole situation, like y'all are gonna make me have level 3 tracing. How bad y'all stressing me out?
Ms. Doyle, that's what's going to be entered. I'm going to circulate this order, this proposed order, to the other attorneys. Enter this in today, not requiring anything except for an emergency basis.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate you spending 2 hours on a Sunday going through my medical history and fighting for my vagina.
My name is Michael.
I'm glad she got what she wanted. People were commenting, "Oh, America's bad. They do this shit OD." In the UK, they would have made her get the emergency C-section. I can tell you that as a matter of fact. Oh my God. Damn, I am quite happy that I live in a first world country, the white man's country, because a lot of this stuff, people don't like talking about this, Black people don't like talking about this shit, but it is, man, living in some of these countries must be stressful, bro. Like the lack of queuing for the bus, just little things. What are the comments? What difference would it make if you are wasting your youth in a first world country? If we only realize the term third world is inherently racist, yeah, I mean, it is inherently, it's a code word for white countries and non-white countries. Yeah, everybody knows that. China used to be referred to as third world. Look at China today. Oh yeah, I guess, yeah, China developed, so it's more like the white countries now, right? Don't let labels define you. There are loads of Nigerian youths living in Nigeria doing great things. Yeah, but they still live in Nigeria, which is objectively a harder country to live in, depending on how much money you have. But for most people, it will be much harder. Yeah.
Translating Missandra's terms. He's sassy. I couldn't disrespect him. He's a narcissist. I couldn't manipulate him. He's gaslighting me. He was right. He's mansplaining me. He was right in detail. He's controlling. He took charge and led when it was inconvenient. He's a creep or he's weird. I'm not attracted to him and I'm not mature enough to say that. Translating Missandra's terms.
I mean, this is just like level 1 baby stuff. Everybody knows this stuff. I mean, who doesn't know this stuff?
I've had one of the most interesting and illuminating conversations politically that I've ever had. So I've just finished work, right? And I'm in the taxi back from work because the buses around me are pretty crap and I don't drive yet. So I'm in the taxi home and I'm chatting to the taxi driver and housing comes up. The fact that rent is so expensive, houses are just non-existent, and basically the idea of owning a home in this generation is just impossible. That naturally sort of leads into a conversation about politics. We talk about the fact that we don't build anything anymore. We talk about the fact that manufacturing is dead, the fact that the quality of life has gone down, the fact that Labour and Tories have just utterly fucked it. And we just get onto politics, and I realise that we basically agree on everything. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy is like, you know, close to me politically. And then he says, and that's why I'm voting reform. And I go, oh, fair enough, because obviously I'm being polite and all this sort of stuff. But in my head I'm thinking, well, I'm voting Green, this guy's voting reform. We obviously both hate the two-party system, Labour and Tories, but we're completely the other way. I'm voting for a far-left party, he's voting for a far-right party. And it just made me really wonder, there must be so...
How is reform far-right? I'm a bit confused. And how's Green Party for? What policy? Anyway.
So many people voting reform because they believe it's the only option to fix the problems we have, not knowing that the Green Party is pro-worker, pro-building houses, pro-manufacturing, pro-energy independence, all this sort of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I know my politics pretty well. I know who Reform are. I know who they're funded by. I know who their hierarchy is. I know how they're all ex-Tories. And I'm not going to sit here and say this guy was stupid or misinformed or whatever. I think he just represented the sort of average voter, which to me is a person always worth talking to, because it's so hard to say, but I feel like we can get through to a lot of these people who are voting Reform, who basically agree with the Greens on everything. They just think Reform are the only answer. I think also that, the local elections where Reform are hopefully not going to win big and the Greens are hopefully going to win big is going to change that. It's going to get the Greens message out there a lot more. But it's a real testament to how much Reform have their ideas spread, because
it's actually a really good point what he's saying. I think the problem is, and this is what a lot of people on the left do, is they pretend like we can't see the people as well and who they are. And there's certain people that will say things and say ideas, but that deep down they are batshit. Like Polanski, he's a far leftist. He's a leftist. Like, he's that kind of person. We've seen that kind of person in society, and we know other things that they think and other things that they do, and that's why we don't agree with that kind of stuff. It's not that we don't think that they have the right positions on drug reform or energy independence. It's that type of person is not, and those kinds of people, we don't want those kinds of people in power. And it's similar with reform. Like, I don't want reform in power either, but I think the reasons I don't want reform in power are more to do with knowing that they're just funded by the Tories, not that I disagree with them, and not that I think that they're the types of people that will cock everything up. But the Green Party, I can tell that you can even see by who wants to vote for them that they tend to be the types of people that they are a lot of the cause of the cultural issues in the UK. They're never going to, and then even like politically for me, like they're never going to be pro-gun rights. They're never going to be pro-freedom of speech, not in my opinion. So they don't have to say anything about freedom of speech. I already know that they're going to be not pro-freedom of speech, if that makes sense.
So many people are just considering voting Reform. This guy's talking about rent controls. This guy's talking about the fact that people can't own, don't own homes, completely ignoring that people like Richard Tice have millions of pounds in private property. I'm just sitting there thinking like...
Yeah, because rent controls are not the solution to that. Is that hard?
Does this guy know what Reform is really about? Does he know that the Green Party's actually probably closer aligned to how he feels? I know it's a bit of a rambly video. Let me know what you think. If you're someone voting Reform,
probably
what do you think?
Not,
if you're someone voting Green,
realistically, probably not. On the surface, it may seem that way, but when you dig into, okay, how are these problems that we've both identified going to be solved? The Greens are probably not going to want to solve them the same way. Probably going to put people in positions of power that are going to have other rhetoric, other agendas, right?
What do you think if you're someone who's considering voting for Labour or Tories in the next election? Let me know what you think. I just thought it was a really illuminating conversation, because when he said he was going to vote for Reform, it genuinely threw me for a loop. It genuinely threw me. I was like, whoa. Like, I thought we basically agreed on everything. Am I wrong? Is he wrong? Are we both right in our own way? Are we both wrong in our own way? Let me know.
You're both wrong because you're voting in the UK and all of the parties are just terrible.
We keep pretending we're lucky to have the NHS. We're not. The NHS is broken and there is no saving it. In fact, I think I've just saved the government over £3 million. Almost 2 years ago, I woke up in a private hospital after surgery for a septic pilonidal sinus. I'd spent a full year with a chronic infection the NHS failed to fix. Surprise, surprise. A year of my body fighting infection, 2 cases of sepsis, and admission to hospital to be booted out hours later as they were too busy. That eventually turned into post-sepsis syndrome, something I've only just started to properly recover from. And here's the irony. Today I received a letter from the NHS clinic that was supposedly treating me, telling me I'd lost my place on their 2-year waiting list.
Oh yeah, that socialised healthcare, guys. Yeah, this is what we want. It's terrible. It's honestly terrible. I mean, I know that the NHS killed my daughter, and that's why I'm mad at them, but it is objectively shite.
Because I didn't respond. Other than a blurry leaflet about breathing exercises to help me manage whilst waiting the 1 to 2 years, I didn't receive a single email, no letter, no phone call, despite me chasing them multiple times. You literally can't make it up. So instead, I paid for everything myself, over £50,000 out of pocket. A full year of EMDR trauma therapy to calm my nervous system, a program to repair the damage sepsis did to my gut and immune system, beta blockers to stop the constant adrenaline floods, ADHD medication to deal with the overwhelm and burnout, and now we're renovating the house to remove the mould that likely weakened my body enough for this infection to take hold in the first place. Without that, I genuinely would not be working today. I probably would not have worked properly again for decades. And here's
the crazy thing is he still had to pay taxes to the NHS that whole time. So assuming he's rich enough to pay £50,000 out of pocket, he's probably making maybe 70, 80 grand a year. I'm going to estimate, right? He probably also paid like 10k to the NHS as well, which is insane.
what really winds me up. It's not just inhumane, it's financially insane. Over my working life, I'll likely pay more than £2 million in tax and VAT. If our business...
Oh, we can do the maths on that over his working life. So he looks to me about... I'd say he's like an old-looking 38. So his working life, so he's probably got 30 more years left of work. He's saying he'll pay 2 million. Let's assume he's starting from 21. So 21 to what, like 65? So that's what, 44 years. He's saying he's going to pay 2 million in tax. Yeah, he probably earns like, so if he's paying 2 million in tax, it's like 5 million over, hold on. 5 million over what? 5 million over what? 44? Yeah, I reckon he's probably earning maybe like 80, 90k. Yeah.
Business grows the way I plan, it'll be far, far higher. If I hadn't recovered, I'd probably have claimed over £1 million in benefits, without taking into account me becoming depressed, fat, needing more treatment, home aids, carers, etc. All because the system couldn't treat one person properly. How is that good management? We keep pretending we're lucky to have the NHS. We're not. It's become a burden, a drain, a system that people paying for can't even access. And while the people funding it can't stay well enough to keep funding it, the system is already dead. Call me harsh, but I wouldn't let a lazy, work-shy bloke steal food from my fridge. Healthcare is no different. If you want me to fund every Tom, Dick and Mohammed's healthcare, you'd better make damn sure mine is gold-plated first.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, Rachel Reeves, I want a 50 grand tax rebate because I paid for my own treatment whilst still being forced to pay for everyone else's.
Yeah.
That's not healthcare, it's madness. And I'm done pretending it's anything other than a mismanaged, overfunded drain on our society.
100%.
Get
100%.
it gone.
Get it gone. Get it fucking gone. We do not want the NHS. It's terrible. There are organised criminal mafias operating in the NHS. They killed my daughter. They covered it up. They tried to frame me. They're criminals. They lie. They fabricate paperwork. He had a better experience than me and he wants it gone. I want it fucking gone. Like, it's terrible. I mean, I'm sure the comments are going to be kissing the NHS. You'd rather your health was owned by some billionaire than the people? Yeah, we're lucky to have the NHS. Okay, brainwash UK citizens.
It is increasingly clear that as the world continues down this volatile path, our long-term national interest requires closer partnership with our allies in Europe.
Oh, God. Because they couldn't do Brexit properly now. They're like, let's get back under the European thumb. Thing is, I'm not even pro-Brexit. I just feel like they did it and they didn't do it properly. That's what happened. And now they're like, oh, see, we shouldn't have done it. Well, yeah, they didn't do it properly, did they?
And with the European Union. Now we have made progress on this front, on agriculture, electricity, emissions trading, and more. But as the Chancellor has rightly pointed out, Brexit did deep damage to our economy, and the opportunities to strengthen our security and cut the cost of living are simply too big to ignore.
Was it Brexit or was it the fake COVID scam that you guys pulled when you pretended that there was a virus? Was it that? I'm telling you guys, Labour's going to win the next election. People will buy into this rhetoric. I can see their strategy. People will buy into this. Labour's going to win the next election, 100%.
You see them TikToks where it's like, that trip to Miami in your 20s will change your life, or to America will change your life. They're not lying. I've been back in London for a week and I go on a lot of holidays and I come back and I just, settle straight back into my life. But you see, after America, every single time I come back,
Yep.
I don't know, man. And last year I went Miami. Before that I went to Philadelphia. Before that I went to New York. But this year I went to Houston and I've come back and it's just like, life is not the same. And, it's spring break and I know it's all like partying and whatnot, but it's not even just a party. We were playing paddle and I was happier than I've ever been. Even when it's raining, the sky is just smiling. I just can't. And to Americans, I know they probably don't look at it like it's crazy because they're from America, yeah, but it's like the same way people look at London as London being crazy, but we're from London. But America, if you're ever trying to plan it with your friends and it doesn't end up happening, then you, my friend, are a...
America is the best place to live in the world. Anyone who doesn't understand that, I don't know for you, man. I love America. I want to move there badly, as everybody already knows.
It took me 25 years to realize that everything is a lie. I have a
It took you 25 years, bro? Really?
degree in biology. I served in the Marine Corps as an officer. I was a programmer.
Oh, he was super brainwashed.
I did everything society wanted me to do. Then I realized one thing. I had completely lost myself. I wasted my entire life. My 7-year-old self didn't want this. I was born wild.
Oh, someone commented, I realized this at 13, that's why I'm 35 and never had a job. Good. I'm happy.
And then became livestock. Religion is a lie, science is a lie, government is a lie, the banking system is a lie, the education system is a lie, everything is a lie.
Yeah.
It took me too long to realize that everything was designed to deceive people, to control people, to manipulate people. But I still see people just obeying without any question.
Oh, someone commented, science isn't a lie, it's a process, the best we have. No, it's a lie funded by wealthy people who fund studies to make you believe shit that isn't true. Like, people that haven't figured out that science is a lie, they are just dumb as fuck, dumb as rocks. Science is a lie too, guys. Religion is a lie. Politics, it's all a lie. I can get into it and break it down in other videos. I want to start debating people on certain topics because I feel like I can really, really break down how science is a lie. But as I build my platform, hopefully people will request to debate me and stuff.
They just follow all these bullshit authorities like slaves. My name is Uri from South Korea, 26 years old. I'm here to fight.
Cheers. Let's go.
If you're a parent and you love your kids and you want your kids to be successful in life, do not expose them to religion. Do everything within your power to shield them from religion. Religion has a way of making people mentally lazy. Once a person is exposed to religion, they become brain dead.
True.
Their critical thinking abilities is
vanish.
killed.
Yes.
They cannot analyze simple phenomena that is happening around their environment because everything that seems to be surprising or a little bit confusing to them, they ascribe it to God. God becomes a cheap answer for anything that they don't really understand. If they see a burning bush, they will not try to analyze that if this bush is burning, probably someone set it on fire. All they will think about is, this is the work of God.
I think people don't understand how badly Africans are also brainwashed with religion. So they'll be like, nah, like religion's good because they know some like European dude who's got like a bachelor's in like engineering and he's also a Catholic and, his family's really nice. I don't think people understand the level of superstition around religion in Africa. So Africans that follow religion are some of the worst critical thinkers in the entire world.
Once they see the slightest thing that seems to look extraordinary in their eyes, they will not try to go to the depth of trying to understand what phenomenon must have caused this. All they think about is, this is God. It is the hand of God. And this is one of the reasons why no major technological innovation has come out of Africa. Because in Africa, we are too God conscious. We don't do scientific research. We don't even analyze things that happen around us. Everything we see that looks a little bit out of the ordinary, we just conclude it is coming from God.
And religion has been an absolute cancer. I mean, Islam and Christianity have completely dominated and lobotomized and fucking inseminated Africans or Africa with just cancer, pure cancer. And it's prevented the development. I think Africa could develop if it wasn't for religion, honestly.
Even if there are simple phenomena that we could study them and analyze them and maybe use them to enhance our lives, we just conclude that it is God. So once you identify with a religion, you cannot think beyond God. You stop your reasoning at God. God becomes your landing point.
I agree. I'm going to just leave it there because he pretty much made the point.
So you say the street is littered with illegal care homes?
Yeah.
Well, like where?
On both sides of the street, there's numerous houses.
Right. Can you point any out now?
There's one on the right over there.
What, there?
Yeah. And that will house 4 to 5 young people. There'll be no support whatsoever. Some of these young people will come from very abusive backgrounds where they need safeguarding, proper prevention, and they get nothing. They're dumped in these houses on a street which is renowned for criminal activity and with no support whatsoever, and they're expected to live there, support themselves, survive there, and this is where criminal gangs can gain easy access.
It's just a normal house.
It's just a normal house.
How would you know?
But that's it, it's inconspicuous.
So potentially there could be thousands of these places.
100%. And how many of these are not vetted?
This is where the local authority allows your kid to go to after they steal the kids from the parents. It's unbelievable. The legal care homes, imagine how bad the legal ones are. There's no people that are suffering worse, no children suffering worse than kids in the foster care system. And that's because of the local authorities and the criminal child trafficking networks that exist within the UK child protection services and probably in the services of other countries. Prime method to take kids, traffic kids. The local authority still claims money for them and the kids just suffer. It's just a system built on the suffering of children. Really sad and triggering.
As an ex-social worker, can I tell you the honest reason why people don't like social services? And no,
because they're child trafficking criminals. I'll just leave it there. She's said, I've seen this video. She says something about they don't take accountability. It doesn't matter whether they take accountability or not. They work for an organization that traffics kids. That's it. Last video, by the way. California versus Africa. GDP mocked by California. The whole of Africa mocked by California GDP. 110,000 GDP per capita. Jesus Christ, 50 times higher GDP per capita. Average Californian 50 times more productive in the modern capitalist economy than Africa. Jesus! Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ! Human development is, this don't really mean nothing, this is just an arbitrary measure. How educated are you, blah, blah, blah. Still mocked. Whew. 19 years, that's kind of brutal. Thanks. I'm sure the areas that have like the most black people have low life expectancies are probably about the same as that. Okay. Damn, that place looks nice. This place looks quite nice too. I would love to live in like San Diego or something if I was rich as fuck. Look how much they've done with this. All of that development in this small area. Jesus Christ, what's that difference? Is that like 100 times? That's like 80 times bigger. Jesus. Man, Africa's so much untapped potential. They even have less population density. You've got all this land and space. God damn. Although there is like a desert and other wastelands and rainforests, so California doesn't have that. Not the same way anyway. Okay. Cities, nature. Beautiful. We love it. Landmarks. Ooh. Interesting. This is the white dude, right? Or is this a black guy? Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching as usual, guys. I appreciate you all, whoever does watch. We're still building the platform. Fuck with me. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.